A clash of queens in a war-torn empire. In the aftermath of Alexander the Great's death in 323 BCE, the vast empire he had carved from Greece to India was left in chaos. His generals, known as the Diadochi, scrambled for power, each vying for control over different regions. Yet, amidst this world of warring men, two formidable women rose to prominence, clashing in what could be considered one of history's first wars between women. This was no mere court intrigue. It was a brutal and deadly struggle between Olympias, Alexander's mother, and Adea Eurydice, the fierce and ambitious wife of King Philip III Aridaeus. Their battle was one of blood and strategy, a testament to the power and influence women could wield in an era dominated by kings and generals. Theirs was not a mere personal rivalry, but a high-stakes game of survival in an empire where even the most powerful were not safe from betrayal and death. Olympias, the ruthless matriarch. Olympias was no ordinary queen mother. A princess of Epirus and a high-ranking member of the powerful Molossian dynasty, she had long mastered the art of political maneuvering. As the wife of Philip II of Macedon, she had ensured that her son Alexander would rise to power. Fiercely intelligent, deeply religious, and rumoured to practice mystical rites of Dionysian worship, Olympias was both feared and respected. During Alexander's reign, Olympias played an active role in court politics, often intervening in state affairs. However, after her son's death, her influence waned. With no clear heir in place, Alexander's infant son by Roxana was too young to rule. The empire became a battlefield for the Diadochi. Olympias, seeking to preserve her grandson's legacy and regain her own lost power, positioned herself against those she saw as threats to her family's rule. She was known for her cunning and her ruthlessness. Throughout her life, she had been accused of orchestrating assassinations and manipulating alliances to ensure her family's dominance. Her devotion to her son's memory was almost fanatical, and she saw herself as the only rightful protector of Alexander's lineage. Adea Eurydice, the warrior queen. Standing in direct opposition to Olympias was Adea Eurydice, a woman of equal ambition and resolve. Born to Amyntas IV, a former Macedonian king, she had royal blood in her veins and a determination that matched any of her male counterparts. When she married Philip III Aridaeus, Alexander the Great's half-brother, she became a queen in name, but she sought much more. Adea Eurydice was not content to be a mere consort. Unlike most Macedonian women who wielded power from the shadows, she stepped onto the battlefield, personally leading armies and issuing orders. She was a rare figure, a woman taking direct military command in a world dominated by male generals. As her husband was mentally impaired and unfit to rule, Adea took on the burden of leadership, aligning herself with powerful factions that opposed Olympias. Her rise to prominence was meteoric. With the backing of key military figures, she began asserting herself in Macedonian politics, a move that alarmed her rivals. Adea was bold, strategic, and unafraid to defy tradition, making her both admired and feared among the factions vying for control over Alexander's empire. The struggle for power. With the empire in turmoil, Adea Eurydice and her husband found themselves caught in the deadly struggle between the competing generals. In 317 BCE, the situation came to a head when Olympias allied herself with Polyperchon, one of Alexander's former generals, who still supported the royal Argead line. Together, they sought to eliminate Philip III Aridaeus and Adea Eurydice, viewing them as obstacles to the reign of Alexander's young son, Alexander IV. Olympias and Polyperchon launched a military campaign against the ruling couple, forcing them to retreat to the city of Pydna. There, Adea Eurydice and Philip III were besieged. Despite her courage and determination, Adea's forces were outnumbered and abandoned by their allies. The city fell, and Olympias exacted a merciless revenge. The fall of Pydna marked a turning point in the power struggle. Olympias had seized the advantage, but her next moves would define her legacy and determine her own fate in the bloody struggle for dominance. The fall of Adea Eurydice. Olympias had always been known for her ruthless nature, but her treatment of Adea Eurydice cemented her reputation as a queen who would stop at nothing to secure her family's power. She had Philip III assassinated, an act that would eliminate any claim Adea Eurydice had to the throne. As for Adea, Olympias offered her a grim choice: execution or suicide. Defiant even in defeat, Adea chose to die on her own terms. According to historical accounts, she took her own life, though the exact manner remains debated. Some say she hanged herself, others claim she was forced to do so. With her death, Olympias removed one of her greatest threats, but her victory would be short-lived. Adea's tragic end was a stark reminder of the brutality of Macedonian politics. Though she had fought fiercely, she ultimately fell to the same merciless power plays that had claimed so many before her. The bloody aftermath. Olympia's triumph was brief. Her execution of Philip III and the humiliation of Adea Eurydice enraged the Macedonian army. Her enemies, led by Cassander, one of Alexander's former generals, soon retaliated. In 316 BCE, Cassander besieged Pydna, capturing Olympias. Despite her pleas and attempts to negotiate her survival, she was condemned to death by the families of those she had killed. In an ironic twist of fate, Olympias met a brutal end at the hands of the very soldiers she had once ruled. Refusing to raise a sword against her, Cassander instead allowed the relatives of her victims to stone her to death, marking the gruesome conclusion of one of the bloodiest power struggles in ancient Macedonian history. The legacy of the queens at war. The conflict between Olympias and Adea Eurydice was more than just a battle between two powerful women. It was a war over legitimacy, legacy, and the right to rule in a fractured empire. Their struggle reflected the larger chaos left in the wake of Alexander's death, a time when even women had to wield steel and strategy to survive. Olympias is remembered as one of the most formidable women of the ancient world, a queen mother who would stop at nothing to preserve her son's legacy. Adea Eurydice, though ultimately defeated, is equally remarkable for her audacity to step onto the battlefield, proving that she was every bit a warrior in her own right. Their war may have ended in blood, but their legacies endure, an enduring reminder that power, ambition, and warfare were never solely the domain of men. In the shifting tides of history, these two women carved their names in blood and steel, proving that the battlefield was not just for kings, but for queens as well.